I had about 10 days to get ready for a local book fair, and while I originally just wanted to make a couple art scenes, it kind of escalated. Join me for this art vlog full of watercolors, cats, spring in Korea, and everything I created, painted, and learned for this journey. I have to admit, I get easily carried away by ideas. I loved painting my first watercolor cat landscapes, and since I had a day before those needed to head to the printer, I immediately painted another set. Here I played around with all the different mandarin fruit types we get on Jeju Island, and combined them with our cat's various sleeping poses. I have endless reference photos for those, and so these were really quick to make. It's also the one cat concept I'm already familiar with, as I made gyulnyangi, Mandarin cat, stickers years ago, so I'm just redeveloping that old idea more. My watercolor palette remained the same. I hope that this ties all the different illustrations and themes together. No matter if cat hills, cat mandarins, or later flowers, the same distinct green shades will show up, or the same granulation patterns. I'm using my recently updated watercolor palette with a heavy focus on Daniel Smith paints, a lot of them granulating, and fewer of the classic mixing colors. I'm still painting in my Hahnemühle cold pressed watercolor sketchbook. It's so pleasant to work in, especially when it comes to letting those granulation patterns flow and evolve. Most of the paints in the yellow and orange color family don't have that much granulation going on, but I did mix in some earth tones, like the Piemontite genuine, to break up the even surfaces, and used wet-on-wet techniques to create subtle patterns. And my new favorite color combination for these: Rhodonite Genuine, a bright pink with subtle granulation, combined with the vibrant Aussie Red Gold or even the Quinacridone Gold for luminous orange colors. I found that mixing oranges with a pink and intense yellow looks more pleasant to me. To balance those more even orange tones, I went all in on the granulation for the green leaves. There, the Cascade Green and Jadeite Genuine could quickly create contrast. Contrast doesn't always just mean contrast of color or value, but contrast of texture in this case. It's an aspect of composition I often forget about when planning my illustrations, no matter if small, cute cats or large, elaborate fantasy art. Having one area be more textured, detailed, or crowded can contrast with empty, smooth, or blurred areas beautifully. Maybe that's something to keep in mind for my next larger illustration. I'd love to play with textured brushwork in acrylic paintings with that contrast in mind. Overall, though, I wanted these Mandarin cats to stay quite simple and cohesive as a group. They went way quicker than my volcanic hill cat illustrations, for sure. The digital edits were a tad stressful as I had work to finish at the same time, so I kept chipping away at them all evening. I still do my scan edits in Photoshop, as I'm so used to the workflow there. While I could just color select these, selecting all white colors and then cleaning up that selection, for soft media like watercolors, I do go in manually with a brush and mask out all the white paper. This takes a while, but since I want to use these illustrations for multiple projects, I thought it's worth the effort to make sure the print quality is always perfect and I don't have any white borders anywhere. After sending that first batch to the printer, I got to take a deep breath and went to look at cherry blossoms. They are especially pretty this year. In the mood for greenery, we also went plant shopping, my second favorite type of shopping after art supplies. At the chaotic local art shop, I got some new paper. After my recent issue with the perfect watercolor paper, I'm excited to experiment with different types. I also tried to find bookbinding supplies to fold my little prints into art zines, but ended up with a wooden pottery tool instead because they had nothing else. Jeju, South Korea in its entirety, is in full bloom. Everywhere around me there are cherry blossoms and canola flowers. With all that inspiration, I couldn't help but dive back into more cat illustrations over the weekend. And a new idea formed. A little booklet all about the flowers and plants of Jeju Island. They bloom at different times than on the Korean mainland, and some types are actually unique to it, so a guidebook might come in handy. I had switched to painting directly in my sketchbook for a while to get a paper texture I was familiar with. But for some of these smaller, less wet-on-wet focused illustrations, I then went back to hot-pressed paper. I changed my approach for these just a little, focusing less on the granulation to add patterns, but on having detailed drawings to create visual interest instead. I even went in with white gouache at some points to add highlights for lighter flowers. Using gouache makes paintings easier to control, which I really needed to get these all scanner ready within a day and a night. If you're ever in a bit of a rush for a project, gouache and a completely flat, hot-pressed paper is probably a good, safe way to go, as it also cuts down on digital editing time. So I went back to my Fabriano hot-pressed paper for these, which I had issues with for those granulating colors. But really, it was those granulation patterns that didn't agree with it, and using this flatter painting approach with gouache and watercolors together worked perfectly. I think that there's underneath tourism and the beaches and cute cafes still a wilder beauty to Jeju. Dark volcanic rock, forests with undergrowth that seems eternal, old trees important to the shamanic traditions of the island, and of course the ocean itself. While my cat guide illustrations for now focus on the cute and colorful, I hope I can bring some of that darker, wilder magic to the larger illustrations. One thing that I often struggled with in the past, making multiple products out of a single illustration. For the longest time, I'd paint an illustration for exactly one purpose. A single print, maybe 2 sizes if I felt ambitious. Or I'd design a single postcard with a matching stamp on the back, or a sticker sheet. All the art markets last summer, as well as my online shop, really showed me that having a variety of sizes or even print types available is important. Someone might want a close replica of a painting at a large size. Someone else is looking for a postcard to pin to a desk wall. Someone else for a small sticker for their notebook. And I can't predict that. And as artists, we already put so much work into the individual illustrations, we might as well use them for multiple purposes afterwards. The product that turned out to be the most popular at the book fair was really unexpected for me, and I'm so glad that I created a wide variety. If you want to attend book fairs or art markets in the future, I hope my own experience here can be helpful. I already participate in a variety of art markets here on the island. Some, especially over the busy summer season, are even weekly, so I do have basic supplies ready. A backlog of prints, but more importantly, packaging material for all of them. Boxes in all sizes that close and stack well so I can transport my prints safely, and little stands for on the table. If you've never been to a market or fair before, I actually recommend a test run at home. See how long it takes you to find and hand over a print after someone pointed out the sample they wanted. How much you should pre-package, how to label your boxes so you can find everything quickly. I also prepare multiple payment options since South Koreans are mostly cash-free at events, so having QR codes or bank transfer information is ideal. You might want to check what's customary in your region with other sellers. You can also never have enough tape, paper clips, label stickers as those can fall off, waterproof pens for signing prints or writing down notes. I also bring sketchbooks and scrap paper with me, usually just in case there's a lull and I want to draw. And a folder to safely store any prints I buy from other sellers or that I get as gifts. For outdoor events, I usually adapt by putting sample prints into glass frames to protect them from wind and weather, keeping the prints that I actually sell off to the side, pre-packaged and safely stored in small boxes. Indoor events are so much easier. No ocean winds, no humidity, no surprise rain. But still, I had to stock up on boxes and packaging material for these newer prints and the cat maps, and my partner also made me these cute woodblock print stands. Those are especially perfect for my smaller sketchbook prints, and I'm so happy he made me these when I asked him like a day before I had to head out. If you paint a series of small illustrations like this, I recommend painting them all on the same paper, or at least keeping all of the originals close at hand. I adjusted my color choices and value ranges so that overall the set looked harmonious even while I was still working on them. For the actual layouting, I use Affinity Publisher. Never create your text elements in a program like Photoshop, as those are pixel-based programs, and fonts might turn out blurry even if you stick to all your printer's other requirements. Here I arranged my little cats on an A4 format, referencing my folded samples to make sure I had everything in the right spot. The same illustrations, plus a few additional ones, then also formed my small book, the Botanical Guide or Botanicat Guide to Jeju. My goal for all of these cat guides is a bilingual format. The names of places or plants written in Hangul, but also written out in English so travelers from abroad not familiar with the language could read them and look them up without issue. That required some playing around with different colors and font sizes to make sure the text elements don't look overwhelming, but also not too busy. Strangely enough, the actual week before the book fair, I had nothing left to prepare for it. Instead, I caught up on, well, my actual illustration work. I pre-folded maps, planned for the fair days with artist friends, and visited some of the many small bookshops near my home. If you ever visit Jeju, or Korea in general, I really recommend visiting some of the book cafes one can find everywhere. Even without speaking the language, there are always art books or travel diaries to look through while sipping coffee. I also made sure that my online shop was taken care of with no backlog of orders waiting for me once I returned from the book fair weekend. The little botanical cat guidebook arrived as well, and I love how the green thread binding looks. It's a pocket guide, and I think the multilingual approach worked well for it, as I had time to add fun touches, like color variations. I also prepared this matching postcard with the camellia flower cat illustration, as that flower in particular is very symbolic to Jeju. And I love how the cute little cat illustration turned out for this one. It's one of 2 prints available as part of my monthly print membership on Patreon, or now via YouTube memberships as well. It has a little sketch on the back, one of the early color pencil sketches for the cat guidebook. If you sign up during April, this one and the mini sketchbook print will travel to you around the globe via snail mail. In my previous video about this cat guide idea, I showed how I folded sample art zines, which evolved into a cat map concept. Little guides to the island folded like a map. For me, that format brings back memories of being young and traveling with family. No navi, no mobile phones, just a book full of maps to unfold and refold whenever we crossed into a new area. Maybe I miss the simplicity of that time. But the more I went about folding these, the more I felt enamored with the idea of making more of them. For now, I have a set of 3, and I think they complement each other well in style and colors. So maybe I'll make another set of 3 later. On the first book fair day, I got up early, we loaded up all the boxes, and on a whim, I also packed the yet unfolded backup A4 pages of my cat maps. The book fair itself is held at a large community center, and I quickly found my table in the giant room. No matter if you're a foreign resident in Korea or an artist visiting from abroad, they put all of us foreigners in one corner. It's really fun to meet other artists at fairs like this, and I was glad I could help translate for my table neighbors. But still, I wish the organizers had mixed it up a bit for variety's sake. Before the book fair opened, after I'd set up, I quickly looked around some of the other stalls here at the back of the hall. I love the variety. From my table neighbors bringing chicle prints and zines from Beijing, documenting their travels around the world, to my other neighbor from Japan and her photography of chopsticks as used in different cultures. There were handmade stamp prints, lots of book publishers from Seoul and Busan, small Jeju bookstores bringing their favorite selections, and even some vintage art supplies. To my surprise, I had to start folding more cat maps pretty much immediately. I'd brought all my art tools from pencils to my wooden paper folder just in case I'd have to fold more in the evening, but I pretty much stood at my table folding more maps all of that afternoon. I'm so happy they were popular. Maybe it's the handmade aspect, that they're small and neatly packaged and so an easy choice once you've reached the end of the book fair hall. I don't know, but I was really excited that my idea seemed to be resonating. By the end of the day, my voice was partially gone and I'm actually still sick from this event and the following art markets. And I went with friends to stock up on some art supplies. And after dinner, we played Baldur's Gate and I sketched a bit on my new watercolor paper. Getting to stay in the city overnight instead of making the 1-hour drive home left so much more time to relax before the start of day 2. We went to a cafe for breakfast and I didn't touch my sketchbook at all, despite this being a place I usually like to visit for sketching. Day 2 was both more and less busy. I was better organized, had pre-packaged more maps, prepared little book and postcard sets, but also drew the occasional portrait, which is always fun yet a bit anxiety-inducing. Overall, Sunday had less visitors from schools or group events. I'm really grateful that my cat illustrations resonated with people, that I got to share my art inspired by this place I've now been calling my home for nearly a decade, that I got to meet other artists and catch up with illustrator friends from all over the island. But also to go home afterwards, cuddle with my real cat and package print orders in peace and quiet. While I enjoy being social at events like that, they really drain my battery, and in the end, this is my happy place. If you've ever wanted to join a book fair or art market, I really recommend you give it a try. It gives a clear deadline to create new art and prints, helps with jumping over your own shadow and meeting other artists. Don't overdo it, know that you'll be completely wiped after 2 days, sometimes more, of talking and selling and creating art before that. One thing that I'm reflecting on, my art style is quite varied and I have different interests, so seeing them all on the same table next to each other felt a little bit jarring. But to my surprise, often people would reach for prints or books on both sides of that table that represents my art style. A Dracula art print with a cute cat art scene, a rainbow-colored sticker, and a monochrome sketchbook print. So, in the end, make all the art you're passionate about, that you love talking about with people that share your love for it. That passion is, I think, what resonates with others, no matter if it's cute watercolor cats, landscape paintings, portraits, vampire art scenes, or sketches. I hope you enjoyed this art vlog documenting my illustration process and preparation for this book fair. And now that I'm back to the more quiet rhythm of small art market and my freelance illustration work, I hope I can share more of my sketches and drawings with you in future art videos. Thank you so much for watching.